Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's 1-1 Bournemouth draw. Billy, of course, introduced himself with a huge yawn. Welcome, everybody. Me, Billy, and, of course, Alex tonight. I'm not sure where Sam is, if I'm honest. She could be out gallivanting for all we know. I have no idea, but maybe she'll join us later on. But it is the three of us for now. And as usual, if you do enjoy tonight's show, guys, please do give it the thumbs up. And, of course, if you're new, please do subscribe to the channel. It is free to do so. But make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss a live show or a recorded show. Are you tired, Billy?
I am, yeah. Been a long day today.
Yeah. And, of course, you can support the channel in two ways as well. One, by membership, which is the join button underneath us. And, of course, the $sign, which is the located underneath the live chat, and that will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. I expect this to be a bit of a sparkly one tonight, given the performance and given what's been going on social media regarding, the manager, the players, what is going on with goalkeeper situation. It's all a little bit shit. At the minute, I have to say it's not flowers in the garden at the minute, but we'll discuss that as it goes on. Good evening, gents.
Good evening. And good evening to all those out in Viewerland.
Now, obviously, it wasn't the best performance in the world at Bournemouth, which we'll come on to that. But please, somebody try and explain to me what is going on with the goalkeeper situation, Alex.
I think to be fair, I think it's fairly straightforward. I think people are just getting their knickers in a twist, to be honest. I think the links to Trafford we've been there for a long time, and it seems that like we're trying to discuss a loan with an obligation to buy, which would just mean that this is a signing for next summer. That we're bringing in early if we can, because we can, but potentially it's because we do need a long-term successor to Nick Pope, who's early 30s, had an injury. And we would like if we could get an upgrade on Nick Pope in the future, it'd be fantastic as well. Trafford, of course, would have to grow a lot to do that because he's not at that level yet at all. But yeah, it's quite logical. It looks like Vlachodimos was in because of PSR. Ruddy was signed as kind of an emergency backup and to raise the training standards. You've got Dubravka, which they're presumably trying to shift, and then Trafford is in as a youngster to compete and learn and try and eventually dislodge Pope in 12 to 24 months. Makes a lot of sense. As long as we're also trying to sign other people at the same time, then this is fine. I think a lot of people are getting frustrated that maybe we're just tunnel vision on a goalkeeper. I'm sure that's not how it is. They've got they've got multiple plates spinning. I wouldn't worry too much about it. And no, I'm not even mentioning Gillespie's name in that conversation. He doesn't deserve
Buffy UK, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much for signing up and for your support. Much appreciated. One thing we must discuss, though, Billy, is the very sad passing of Sven-Göran Eriksson earlier today. An absolute... well, he is legendary status. I've got no doubt about that. He's... spoken on very highly among the football world. Just an incredible man. An incredible manager as well. If you listen to all the players that played under him, what a great manager he was. What a great motivator, and just a general all-round funny guy as well. Which you wouldn't have expected that, of course. But another one taken from us, really, from the football family.
Yeah, it's always a sad day when football men depart of the planet. He's obviously a massive football man. Yeah, long managerial career. Winning Serie A as well. I mean, it's not easy to do that. In the Italian league, it was a hard league to win in the 90s when he did it. It was a kind of a shock when England took him on as manager. And people will say that maybe they didn't do what they should have done. They didn't achieve.
Well, he did stabilise us, didn't he? Because he
definitely
came in when we were rocky, didn't he? And he got us to 3 quarterfinals. So
he did indeed, and I mean, to go to Germany and win 5-1, that's fantastic. I mean, I'll never forget that night. That's not what I live.
What a game!
And maybe if Steven Gerrard wasn't injured for the 2002 World Cup, England may have done better than that. He brought Wayne Rooney onto the world stage and got the best out of Wayne Rooney on the world stage. After he was never the same player for England, I don't think. Despite being such a great player, Rooney was never as good for England as what when he was there. So, yeah, it's a sad day, really. Just a proper football man. A real sad day.
Anything you want to add to that, Alex?
Yeah, it is a shame. I mean, I posted on social media that it kind of bothered me a little bit today. When I say bothered, it got to me more emotionally than I thought it would. And I think it was the whole build up to this, because we knew it was coming. It made it. I don't know.
It's sort of goodbye speech as well, and that
it wasn't just an article that popped up. So and so's passed away. It wasn't. It was a. He went public with it, and he visited around the grounds and stuff. And it's very, very sad, because he was a big part of my footballing experience growing up, because I was born very early 90s. So Sven was a big part of England when I was a youngster, and it's when I first got into that kind of stuff, and spray painting St. George's Cross on your hair and stuff, and going to watch World Cup games at school as a youngster. And it's really, really sad. And he had a fantastic career in the game. He's managed everybody. I mean, for people who don't know, you've got Benfica, Roma, Sampdoria, Lazio, England, Man City, Mexico, Notts County, Ivory Coast, Leicester. He did Al Nassr. He went to China, Philippines. He's been all over the place. He's managed everyone and everybody in most standards and won a lot. So it is a big, big loss.
Indeed. So thoughts and prayers to his family and friends, of course. And as I say, a legend taken from us. But he will definitely never be forgotten in the football world. Right. One major question I've got, Billy, and I think a lot of Newcastle United fans have been asking the question, or not just a question, but have a feeling, is everything okay behind the scenes at Newcastle United? I don't know. Do you know what? I'll openly admit to this. I had my first, and this may sound a bit weird, okay? However, Saturday or Sunday, sorry, that game was the first time that I've had little doubts in my mind about Eddie Howe. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be sacked or anything like that. It was just a few little doubts because of the team selection, etc. I know you didn't. You found it a bit bizarre at the start of the game. The team selection. I mean, what do you think, Billy? Because Shearer's come out and said that he thinks that as well, and things aren't quite as fluent, or the players don't seem as happy. And people have mentioned the goal that we scored yesterday. There was very little celebration, even though I believe that was just to get back to the centre line. We were on top in the game and felt like we could go on and win it. So the guys wanted to get going again. What do you think?
Well, I think people are reading too much into it, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, if you look at the actual table, we were beaten in 2 games. We had a bit of adversity against Hampshire with a player sent off. Yeah. And then we had a tough game at Bournemouth to boot after that. And if you take Southampton as Luton last year, we're 3 points better off after with the 2 games we've played. Because we didn't get anything against Luton. We've got a point at Luton and get it at home. And we also didn't get anything at Bournemouth. So to me, that's 3 points better off. I think people are reading too much into it, to be perfectly honest. I think we need to make that signing. I think the fans will then feel a bit better. We need to make a big signing, whether it's Gahey or not, I don't know. But someone needs to come in and help supplement the squad. Yeah, and I think Eddie Howe will feel happier there. I've seen people blaming Mitchell for the signing of Trafford. Well, we were linked with him way before Paul Mitchell come on board. So yeah. It's hard. People are just looking for an excuse to jump down the club's throat, to be honest.
No, I mean, look, I agree with you, Billy. I think there's a lot of rigmarole going on. I just had my little doubts. There was because of simply the team selection. It was bringing Kelly in was a mistake, in my opinion. And the first half performance. I mean, Jesus, wow. Ab says you were taking the piss, Paul. You spent most of last season questioning Eddie. 2 games in and questions of sacking the manager. Clickbait culture is sort. Abs behave. I did not spend. Hang on a minute. I want to address that.
He made a point of saying he doesn't believe that. Yeah, he did state that. He made a very clear point that he doesn't think that.
Exactly. And I did not spend most of last season questioning Eddie. I think if you go back and watch the videos, I always said all along that Eddie Howe still has my support and I want him to win things and I want him to become a legend at the club. And nobody can argue with me on that because I did say that. So Abs, Billy did, but I'll take you to task on that, Abs, because I didn't. And I'm clickbait culture. It's nothing to do with clickbait. All I'm saying is that I had a little doubt in my mind for the first time ever regarding Eddie Howe as manager because of the team he picked. That is all. But I also still stand by him. And we're not playing well. That first half was as shocking as it gets, to be honest. After the first 15 minutes, it was terrible. And nobody can come out and say, oh, yeah, we did okay. Ali B says, I am with you, Paul. Tiny doubts now, too, along with the choice of transfers. I don't think it's Eddie Howe's fault on the transfer basis. I do want to address this because I do think that in a way, I think Eddie has been hung out to dry with the transfers. And he looked, when he was talking about it last night, he looked incredibly frustrated when he was asked about the transfers and gave that answer about he, doesn't know. It's frustrating. You can tell by his face. You could tell in the press conference. He does want players in, but at the minute it's not happening. I just think this is a big, big week for the club, Alex, for the season ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it will be a massive week because we could do with a couple more players in to cover issues. As handy as Emil Kraft is as an emergency backup, he is just that. He is an emergency backup. If we're a club trying to challenge top four or break into some form of European place consistently, he's not the standard of centre half. I don't think Dan Burn is either, as good as he can be and has been. No disrespect to Dan, but I think the Lloyd Kelly thing's a little bit of a shill. I think everybody wanted Lloyd Kelly in, and then he played, and everybody said it was a mistake. I think it made sense with the setup. I think he brought Lloyd Kelly in specifically to deal with certain threats on their team with Semenyo and Kluivert on that right-hand side on our left. It made a lot of sense in theory. It didn't work. It made sense. And it was very, very clear, probably 20 minutes into that game, that we were lacking any kind of technical players in that system. We didn't have any players that were able to play a pass under pressure, whether that was Lloyd Kelly, Dan Burncraft, or Tino. Tino was very poor at trying to get a pass out under pressure. He was poor as well. He was going backwards a lot of the time, went backwards to Pope a few times. Couple that with Joelinton having a poor game. And I think a lot of players were basically just hurrying the ball to Bruno. Even if Bruno was not in a good position to receive the ball, they would just quick give it to Bruno, just get rid of it, give it to Bruno, and then expect Bruno to just do something with it. It didn't work. We're missing too many technicians in that team, of which I don't really blame Eddie Howe. The only one that he has got blame for is picking Lloyd Kelly over Lewis Hall. That is down to him, and it didn't work. He'll know that. That's fine. Fabian Schär, he can't control that. Kieran Trippier has clearly got a lot going on. You've also got Tonali coming back. So that's three enormous technicians in that side that we are missing, who are able to play a pass and play under pressure and be able to assert a bit of control over the game, which, funnily enough, when a couple of those names did kind of appear, well, Trippier mainly, we got a bit of control. But yeah, you are absolutely right that this week is integral to the club, getting Tonali back, also deciding Trippier's future. I, for one, think he absolutely needs to stay another year. I think we need to beg him. I think we need to give him a pay rise and say, stay here for one more year. Help us. We need the changing of the guard. Tino needs to learn more. We need you around. As many mistakes as he made last year. And then plus signings, whether it's one or two, we need something, because we can't be playing Emil Kraft as an emergency backup. There's certain positions now where several years in, no. Does Emil Kraft get into any other team in the Premier League as a centre half? Does he get into the Ipswich team? Possibly. Does he get into the Southampton team? I don't think so. I don't think you pick Emil Kraft over Jan Bednarek or anybody like that for Southampton.
No, I agree.
Does he get in the Leicester defence? Possibly not.
Well, maybe he's ahead of Wout Feces, but
as much as we like Emil Kraft, it's.
I know where you're going.
I think it's a fair
I know
point.
what you mean. Yeah. Keith Truscott, thank you for your super chat, bud. Agree with you, Paul. And to be honest, I was critical of Howe last year, especially the last part of the season. Having said that, I support him, but I do think this season has to be a good one for him. Now, a lot of people, Bill, you're asking the questions, it doesn't seem to all be, I mean, look, this is just from the outside in and just from different people's perspectives, that since Amanda's gone, it hasn't exactly been, smooth sailing. And especially with the transfers, is that because, Amanda was so good at what she was doing and now she's not there? It's different people sort of guiding the ship along.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Amanda, once she wanted something, she got it. She had the knack of doing things, didn't she? But we didn't sign anyone in January either when Amanda was still here. And only one signed in the previous January, and that was down to Amanda's forcefulness. Now we don't have that. It's going to be harder for us to sign players. But yeah, I think the financial situation is dictating a lot of it, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, let's not forget that the financial situation was caused by the people who have now left, whether it's Dan Ashworth, Amanda Meerdad, one of them, not the others, or all of them, all of the above, who knows? That was caused by them. So Paul Mitchell didn't do any of that. He's picking up the scraps,
Mitchell
isn't he?
had nothing to do with it. Nick Thornton, thank you for your super chat. Burncraft, Longstaff, Murphy and Kelly should not be starting and should only be seen as squad players. That's almost half our starting 11 on Sunday.
Can I just mention something about that? I disagree completely. I think everybody that started yesterday is good enough to play in the starting 11 in certain situations. Maybe not Kraft, but in certain situations, you need more technicians around you. You absolutely do, because Tino has looked pretty solid in a lot of games when he's had Fabian Schär next to him, because he's got somebody who can receive the ball under pressure, can play a pass under pressure, and can play good passes as well. Understand space, movement around him. You can't have too many. What's the best way of referencing this? Burnley under Sean Dyche. You can't have too many players that are all just grit and running. You need a few technical players to balance that team out. And yesterday was too many just grit players, not enough quality. That's all it is. You sprinkle one or two back in that starting 11, which we've got, by the way. We don't have to buy them. We already have them. Tonali, Hall, Trippier, Schär. That's 4. They all solve that issue. So
I agree. But I also, if we look at the sort of 2 performances so far this season, 11 against 11, there's something not right. There's something missing. That first half, I mean, yes, 15 minutes, we looked bright. We looked like we could really do something. But then, Bournemouth came into the game and just completely dominated that first half. And we were very lucky to go in at half time, as it was. It could easily have been more if it weren't for Nick Pope and the fact that the crossbar saved us as well. I honestly, in my own heart, I don't believe they're singing off the hymn sheet at the minute behind the scenes. I genuinely think that. I think there's I think Eddie wants certain players, and he's been told no, that they can't get those certain players. I can't put my finger on it. Don't get me wrong. This is just me as a fan looking in and thinking, I don't know. But the way we're playing at the minute, yes, the sending off galvanized us last week against Southampton, but we were dog rot for 20 minutes. Yesterday, it was the substitutes that changed the game. When he put Gordon right and Barnes left, for me, Lewis Hall coming on and Trippier coming on stabilised us a lot more. However, let's be fair. We could have lost that game in the end, and I believe that goal should have stood, by the way. I'm saying that now. I don't believe for 1 second that should have been disallowed. Because the more I've looked at that today, in slow motion, the more I've looked at it, it was more off Dan Burns' arm than the Bournemouth players. And I've looked at it many, many times today in slow motion. If I was a Newcastle fan and that was us, I'd be right pissed off with that. However, as a Newcastle fan, very glad it was disallowed. But we were all over the place in the last 10 minutes of that game. We were just all over. And Bournemouth suddenly got a second wind. Because, Billy, you mentioned it during commentary. we let them do it again. We scored when we were on top, and then we went back into a shell again and let Bournemouth come into the game again when we were completely dominating.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with that. Well, we were still pushing, but just not as much. There was not as much, ferocity beyond the attacking. And basically, they caught us on the counter a couple of times. It wasn't the case of them dominating. They just caught us on the counter, and we had too many players trying to go forward. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of, you've got to give Bournemouth credit, I think. You've got to give them credit for the first half performance, because straight away they realised, and it's obvious to see that Bruno's a fulcrum of everything we do. And they tried to kick him out of the game. And Christie got booked early on for it. Then they switched him to Cook, and Cook kind of marked him in a different way, and forced balls into plays that weren't comfortable on the ball. Nick Pope was one of them. How many times did we see him just hoof it away in a panic mode? We saw him 4 or 5 times. Yeah, so you've got to give Bournemouth credit. I think they know how to play against us. They've done it every time we played them in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they have.
They've given us real problems. Yeah, a lot of it is down to physicality and rattery. But they've got some skillful players on that side as well. And that's why I was concerned about Lewis Hall not playing, because it's more than one way of defending, isn't there? You can be a great tackler, a great man marker. But if you push your winger up the pitch because you're attacking constantly, like Lewis Hall does, and offer a threat with your feet, and kind of negating his threat by being up the pitch further, I think it's a bit negative to try and drop that and bring in a solid defender, so to speak, who wasn't solid on the day at left back, I've got to say.
Interesting. Anthony says, spot on, Paul. I think there's disagreements on which players to be brought into the club. Another super chat from Baron Boomstick. Thank you, mate. Great to see Gordon's goal. Hope it helps with his confidence going. Isak unlucky not to get on the score sheet. Hope Hall starts against Spurs. How are the lads? And we've got another one from Channel Right who says, agree. I think Bournemouth's goal should have stood. I think it's down to opinion. However, Alex, the tactics I want to talk about with you from what we were watching yesterday, and I lost count of how many times we just booted the ball up the field to absolutely nobody. Where is that tactic coming from? Because how many times did the fullbacks or centre back get the ball yesterday and just boot it up the field? And there's nobody there. There's no challenges. They were kicking it to absolutely nobody. I mean, what was the whole point of doing that?
I think it was partially the game plan was to try and stretch them a little bit and play in Gordon and Isak and make them challenge for the ball and run the channels and get them up the pitch. We didn't have the quality to play out. As much as people have praised Lloyd Kelly for his long ball in one of the preseason games, he's not Fabian Schär. Dan Burn can't do that. Kraft can't do that. And Livramento is a flying, running, dribbling fullback who likes to cross and drive and get into the game. And it's as simple as that, really. That's all, that's all it is. And it would have worked a lot better if Joelinton had a better game. He had a really poor day. But if all of a sudden Joelinton turns up to that match and makes even 3 or 4 driving runs, that's 3 or 4 instances that we're further up the pitch. We get a bit more momentum, a bit more possession, maybe 1 or 2 more shots at goal. That really didn't help. I think that was the game plan, was to try and work it up the pitch in a different way. And it's just a lack of technicians. And I think they put Nick Pope under a lot of unnecessary pressure. There was 2 occasions from Tino Livramento where he was stood in front of our box. He wasn't even being pressed, and he just passed it backwards to Nick Pope, which was their trigger to go and press.
To be fair, though, his kicking yesterday was absolutely shocking.
He was shaken as well. He was very, very shaken. Nick Pope was. He wasn't comfortable with distribution at all.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. His quality from punching, catching, making saves, all there yesterday. But his distribution with his feet was.
But this is a massive point to people who like old school defenders. You can't have too many of them because you get that. You have to have footballers. You need people who are good at football.
Well, it's changed now, hasn't it? Your centre-backs need to be footballers as well. Adam C., thank you for your super chat. Somebody just won something on eBay there. Adam C., do you think Eddie will lose the dressing room? No.
Nope.
I don't believe that. I don't believe he will lose the dressing room. Michael McIntyre, thank you for your super chat. Handball all day. Come on, Toon. It's down to opinions. Avina,
rules as written, it's a handball, Paul, I'm afraid.
Well, that's your opinion. I don't think it actually came off the Bournemouth player. Avina, thank you for your super chat. I mentioned the feeling of malaise a few weeks ago. It's getting worse, just feels off. And another super chat from Channel Right, still concerned about Pope's distribution.
It's always been like that. It's never going to get any better.
Improved.
That is Nick Pope's distribution. So our long-term goal is to try and get somebody who can do Nick Pope things, but also distribute the ball and be a bit more of a get involved in build-up. Yeah. That's the long-term goal. But for now, we need Nick Pope. So
and it could have done Nick Pope any favour at all to see Bruno being rushed on the ball when he had it. And Joelinton wanted too much time.
The passing into Bruno when he had sometimes two players right on him. Very, very difficult for Bruno yesterday. Baron Boomstick also says, Joelinton, hero one day, villain the next. Give him a break, guys. Baron
he had a bad game. He
was terrible yesterday, and he's my favourite player, by the way. But he had a bad game. Listen, this is the match review, all right? The Bournemouth match review. We're not talking about previous games. We're talking about this game yesterday, and we focusing on that. And Joelinton was poor. He was a monster last week, but he was poor, and he will have poor games. Everybody will have poor games, but that's the whole point of doing match reviews. Another super chat.
Bournemouth know how to play, didn't they? I mean, whenever you play,
absolutely,
a lot of them. Again, I mean, Billing marked him out the game of the year at St James's.
Yeah,
they know how to deal with him.
Indeed. Carlisle Tuna, thank you for your super chat. Eddie Howe said he signed Asula, but now says he has nothing to do with signings. If Eddie Howe can't work with people outside his circle, it's a worry. I did pick up on that. He did. He said he wanted Asula because he'd seen him at Sheffield United, etc. And he'd been told about him by, obviously, Mad Dog as well. So he did say that, Alex. And then he did come out and say that he
didn't say he'd signed him. He said he'd been tracking them. There's definitely players that they will have been tracking in their preferences that go into the scouting conversation. Of course they do. But Paul Mitchell, when he comes in, will take all of that into consideration. And we were, for a long time, we were quite happy to bring in a young striker in the mould that can do sort of Isak things to grow and learn. I don't think there's anything wrong with that sign. I think it fits everybody's kind of ethos. So
Keith Truscott, thank you for your super chat. Big Joe, lucky to stay on after ringing Keeper's neck like that. Listen, in this day and age with VAR, I think it was absolutely stupid thing for Joelinton to do. I know what he was trying to do, and we said it during commentary, Bill. He was just trying to put his arm out to stop the keeper from, quickly kicking it out. It would have been booked anyway, but his arm was high. It was round the neck of the goalkeeper. Listen, on another day, he could quite have easily been sent off. Quite easily. Did we get away with one yesterday?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any malice in it. I don't think he deliberately went out to clothesline him. Mm-hmm. I thought David Coote showed some remarkable constraint, actually. There are some referees that would have definitely sent him off. And we couldn't have argued about it had it ever happened. But I just thought Coote dealt with it in a calm, responsible manner, I think.
Yeah. Jens, thank you for your super chat. Let's be honest, if that goal was against Poole, it wouldn't have even been talked about. But since it's us, it's a big, big thing. Cartel. Let's not even get onto Sky because they're just an absolute waste of time, to be honest. Joelinton went full John Cena. I don't think it was that bad. The keeper, I think the keeper made more of it, to be honest, than the way he went down. I mean, Jesus. Pawson would have sent him off, says Andy. I agree with that. Joelinton got a new career when he retires from football, a WWE superstar. On today's Red Watch, Dermot Gallagher said it definitely wasn't a red as he grabbed his chest. Well, it makes a difference for Dermot Gallagher. But look, I just think he was lucky, Alex. Depending on the referee, that could have very much gone the other way. Why not just get on with get up and run back to your position?
Because I think you've got to use the rules with a bit of common sense, and I think it's fair. And this is why I think the handball rule should be changed as well. I don't think that was a handball, but I'm glad it's been disallowed because the rules is written. I don't think it is. But in regards to the Joelinton thing, it depends on the replays. There's depending on what angle you watch. It's a bit of chest, a bit of collarbone. Some people are saying it goes as high as neck. It's hard to see, but the common sense. kind of view seems to be. He's just trying to run and stop him and delay him with the restart, which is a yellow card. I think it's been kind of blown out of proportion a little bit that he was just trying to absolutely clothesline somebody. I think he was just kind of trying to just stop him a bit. And people do it all over the pitch every day of the week. It is what it is.
Alexander Luddy says he almost crushed the guys through. Really?
I mean, blown out of proportion. Exactly. This is what people are doing.
I mean, Dan Burn got booked for the same thing, although he did it with his feet. You know, he stopped him with his feet 2 minutes before. It's just, I think there was no malice involved in it. He was just trying to stop him.
No, I agree. I think he put his arm out just to delay the keeper from getting a quick throw. But he didn't realise that, you know, obviously the keeper had already started the process, I think, of trying to throw it out, and he obviously bent down. So I don't think Joelinton would be stupid enough to. But I just think in this day and age, players have got to be careful with what they're doing. You know, Gordon got booked. Dan Burn got booked a couple of minutes before it for doing a blocking the keeper. So Joelinton needs speaking to, as he was acting out at the Southampton game as well. Well, look, Joelinton's got that fire in him, hasn't he? And I don't want to take that out of his game, guys. I don't know about you. I would never want Joelinton to change the way he plays.
No, I think you need that bit of devil in you. I mean, if you take that away, I don't think you've got the same player.
You can't promote these big clash of the Titan matches and egos and powerful athletes, and you can't promote it like that and then not let the game be physical. Of course, there has to be a line somewhere. Absolutely fair enough, but it is what it is.
Abs thinks J7 should have been sent off. Bit of over enthusiasm. I think, Abs, that's the reason he wasn't sent off, is because it was just over enthusiasm to block the actual keeper getting it away quickly. I think that's what actually saved him, because for once, I think the referees used his noggin and thought, you know, heat of the game, he's just trying to stop the Bournemouth from getting a quick breakaway. There was no malice in it. It was just the fact that the keeper's position and where Joelinton had come across him. But I just think you have to be more careful in them situations, because some referees would have loved to have given a red there. Absolutely 100% loved to give it a red. Keith Truscott, thank you for another super chat. But looking at Cher's sending off, there's no equality. Not that I wanted him off. Just be careful.
Cher's different because he's made a head movement, hasn't he?
Cher deserved the sending off, but so did Brereton Diaz. There's the difference. So we got half of it, and it was punishment against us, not them.
Absolutely. Right, Alex, do you want to take us through a few stats of the game before we do the player ratings?
Yeah, we can do. So there are the two starting 11s. Of course, Evan Nilsson for Bournemouth started up front for them, as expected, the new signing from Porto. And it was quite a terrifying three behind them with Tavernier, Kluivert and Semenyo. And it was a balanced team that worked really well. And we really, really struggled. This back four struggled to break them down. There are a few stats that will kind of prove that. So you've got Lloyd Kelly. Scroll down a bit. 85% passing accuracy is okay. There's nothing wrong with that when you're out.
Is that not Lewis Hall, Alex?
No, because he got replaced by Lewis Hall. That's what the graphic is.
Yeah, all right. That's what I was seeing. Yep. Oh, sorry.
3 out of 5 ground duels, fine, fair enough. Long balls out, 0, which again was a bit of an issue. And then you've got Dan Burn. Passing was 88. So Dan Burn actually was fine, but he's not the guy who threads the eye and the needle and finds the attacking passes. Emil Kraft, much of a muchness. 2 accurate long balls with 80% passing accuracy. And then you've got Tino as well, who provided us with 0 accurate long balls. So I'm counting three accurate long balls out of the entire back four, which when we have Kieran Trippier and Fabian Cher in, I'd probably say they're responsible of 10 to 15 long balls per match. And we were probably trying to be more direct in this game. So it doesn't sound like it. It feels like we were, but there wasn't a lot of directness from the people that would normally steer us in that direction. Again, Joelinton with a 6, and still lucky to stay on the pitch, as we've said. 75% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, 1 shot on target, which was the header that kind of came off his shoulder instead, and it was saved. Put himself about ground duels wise, but really wasn't what we needed in terms of protecting the ball. Of course, there is an error leading to goal, which wasn't great. If we go and have a look at the actual stats for
just 2 seconds, Baron Boomstick sent in a super chat asking if there's any news on the share appeal. Yeah, it was rejected. Eddie said that last week. Sharon Hooton, very, very critical here. We have too many players who don't want to play football, just want their wage, or else they would move on, or say they love the club but unwilling to move on in order for us to grow.
I think that's quite right, actually, what she says. If you look at Isaac Hayden, Ryan Fraser, to a lesser extent, Matt Targett, Jamal Lewis, to a lesser extent, Miggy. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've offered them contracts. So on the flip side, devil's advocate, we've offered them contracts. They're well within their rights to see out their contracts. So that was the club's fault, or the previous ownership's fault, whichever way you look at it.
Nick Thornton, thank you for your super chat. Would you guys take Semenyo as the answer to our right wing problem? In a heartbeat.
100%.
100%. Sorry, I was going on, mate.
Yeah, so these are the stats for the entire match. We did actually have more of the ball, 61% possession. We just didn't do a lot with it when we had it. XG, we were down 1.69 to the 2.26. I do feel like this maybe shortchanges us a little bit, doesn't show the entire picture. When you think about Bruno Guimaraes' left-footed shot, curler outside the box, that was going top bins. That I don't think will be credited with much in terms of XG. In fact, I can probably find it.
Well, I did a very much a Sean Bean impression yesterday, didn't I, Billy? When he tipped that over the bar. Do you want to tell the viewers what I said when he tipped that over the bar? What did I call him, Billy?
Neto, you bastard! But it was he's decided to turn into bleeding Superman. I mean, a lot of goalkeepers. That's his job, I guess. But
yeah, he was brilliant.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
definitely. But that's not down to Bruno. So the XG has shortchanged us somewhat because we've got the quality to score amazing goals. So you get a 3% chance of scoring that, or 3% of people who shoot from that area with their left foot with those kinds of players in front of them. Yeah, should have gone in. Very, very, very good save. And there were a few like that, a few close range headers as well, which I don't think we're given. There you go. There's the burn header. You've got there's the burn header that was saved. So you score about a quarter of them. You've got the Joelinton header as well, 0.31. So we got reasonable XG from those chances. But they did beat us out on that. Total shots wasn't awful. And at the end of the game, we did get more big chances than Bournemouth as well. There is a stark contrast, though, between the first half and the second half. So first half, we had 3 total shots, only 1 on target. There were 8 fouls committed by Bournemouth to our 3. So they were tactically fouling, should we say, professional fouling, just kind of stopping.
They did a job on us, and you can't blame them for doing that. I mean, that's just...
They were stopping us when we did find that pass, or we did find that breakaway, they would stop it, which is, I mean, we've done the same. It is what it is. And then in the second half was a lot better from us, again, because of the substitutions mainly. I do disagree that the subs weren't good. I liked the substitutions from Eddie Howe yesterday. I thought he did the subs on the 58th minute. So he gave everybody approximately 10 minutes to fix that nightmare. You've got to give them, after that team talk, do some tactical tweaks. He gave them 10 minutes. It didn't work. He made his changes. He pulled the trigger nice and early. So probably 55 minutes, he probably told everybody to get stripped. Told them to get on the pitch. Trippier was on straight away. It made a big difference. So we out-XG'd them in the second half with equal amounts of shots, 4 on target, 4 big chances, considerably more control of the game as well. Although we did, as you two said earlier, switched off a little bit, made it a bit too transitional. Few people sleeping. But I think Eddie Howe definitely knows the mistake he made in that first half. And I think there will be big personnel changes next week. So I don't think we can see this again. Somebody has to return to the squad because obviously Fabian Schär is not going to be available yet. So it's going to either have to be, we're going to have to beg Trippier to be okay, or we bring in Lewis Hall again. But we need some kind of technician to help us in build up. Because it's clearly not worked, and there are better teams than Bournemouth in the league. So, Spurs being one of them are very technically proficient.
Well, Alex, I don't think we'll see. I think we'll see a very, very strong team on Wednesday, but we'll talk about that tomorrow in the preview. Because I don't think Eddie Howe can risk going out of the cup. I think he needs a cup run.
That team against Spurs, we get annihilated.
Yeah,
we need.
But of course, There is a certain Italian stallion available, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Biggs, thank you for your super chat. Don't know about you lot, but I feel like Eddie Howe wants majority of the signings to be only English-born players. What's your thoughts, lads?
But there's no proof in that, is there?
Well, no, I mean, look, when you see who's come in, Botman, Isak, Bruno, Tonali, they're not all English, are they? So,
the biggest signings are all not English.
Foreigners. Baron Broomstick, thank you for another super chat. What right winger would the three of you like? Not Kubo. Semenyo and Mbeumo. They're the two I would go for.
I don't want Semenyo. I'd prefer Mbeumo.
Why, Alex? Are you kidding
Everybody's
me?
saying that because they just watched him play yesterday.
He's had a couple of good. He's a good player, Alex. It wasn't just yesterday. He's a very good player.
He's a good player, but
yeah. Well, that's your opinion. Ray Fagan, thank you for your super sticker. Right, it is time for the player ratings, guys. And as usual, I will be writing them down. I'll try and get Sam's...
Don't worry, Stephen. I haven't forgot about Longstaff. We'll get to him.
Yes, we will. Indeed. Absolutely. So, I'm going to start doing this on the computer from next week, but we'll just...
Semenyo did play for the Mackhams as well, so...
Yeah, a brief spell. Right, okay. Right, okay, so we'll start off with His Holiness Nick Pope. Billy?
From a goalkeeping point of view, I thought he had a good game. But just the keeping the ball out of the net. Distribution weren't great, but he was rushed a lot of the time. But it's never been great for Nick Pope. I'll give him a 7.
7. I'm going with a 7.5. I think his distribution was the only poor thing yesterday. I think the saves he made, he came out and punched well, but his kicking. I mean, that could be because he was put under pressure a lot of the time, but some of the kicks when he wasn't under pressure were also sailing out of play, and I was a little disappointed with that. Alex?
I'll go with a 6.5.
Okay.
I think a 7's a bit generous and a 6 is probably a bit too harsh. I'll go right in the middle, 6.5. I loved his goalkeeping in terms of a couple of strong punches, getting it well out of danger, decent high claims, was very alert at sort of the sweeping, but very, very Bambi when it came to being pressed and first touches. He was nervous. It was Bambi. His legs were a bit. It made me nervous. I think it makes everybody a bit nervous when somebody, an opposition player, is running at Nick Pope as Pope is about to receive the ball. I am terrified of that first touch that he's about to make because I don't know which direction it's going to go. I'm not sure Nick does either, to be honest. I love him as a goalkeeper. But this is why we need more technicians in the back four, because we can't let Nick Pope do that much because it's not his strength. 6.5.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to, actually, somebody's just asked, when did we bring in 0.5s? At the start of the season, we decided that we were going to allow 0.5s this time around because, we didn't want Alex having a Jurgen Klopp fit about things. He likes his 0.5s. So we've decided to bring them in. Okay, let's move to Tino, Alex.
Ooh. Possibly his worst game for us. Just struggled. Tried to run the ball out and quite often just turned around and ran backwards. Whether it was starting in our defensive third or when he was higher up the pitch. Ended up with the ball from set pieces, still ran backwards as well. Gave the ball to Pope a couple of times and I don't think he should have done. Passing wasn't there. I'm going to go with 4.
Okay. A lot of, 4s, 5s, and 6s really coming in at the minute. 5.5s. Bill?
I agree with what Stasso says, and actually, he's partly culpable for the goal because I don't think he did enough to get in front of Tavernier at the back post. He's watching it all; he can see it.
Yeah,
all.
he did. Yeah, you pointed that out yesterday, didn't you?
And doesn't make any attempt at all to get in front of him or make a challenge at any time.
And there was another one second half, wasn't it, Billy? Remember where he was out of position and then he just jogged into the penalty box and just stopped.
Back. He walked back, and then stopped in the middle of the penalty box, marking nobody, not intercepting balls. Yeah, it wasn't his greatest hour. I'll give him a 4 too. Yeah.
I like Cobby's just made a good point though that I did mention a few weeks ago. Hall and Tino are still very young. Tino's 21.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's this is why we can't sell Trippier yet, because Tino's 21 years old and he's not the answer to all of our problems right now. He still needs to learn.
And before anyone jumps on us, remember that this is the player ratings from the Bournemouth game. We're not hammering any player personally. This is what we saw yesterday. And to be honest, a lot of you are agreeing so far. I've gone with a 4 as well. Not his greatest game. And I agree. I think he should have done more for the goal. I don't know whether he could have got to Tavernier in time, but he didn't make the effort to. And of course, the one in the second half, which was incredible. Okay, let's move to the other side. Lloyd Kelly. I think he had his hands full yesterday against Sven-Göran. Sven-Göran's got pace. He likes to cut inside. I don't particularly think Lloyd Kelly did a lot wrong in the game, but he didn't do a lot right, if that makes any sense. I think he was just... I'm going with a 5.5 for Kelly. Billy?
Well, Sven-Göran had him on toast. It needed Lloyd Kelly early doors to get a tackle in on him, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's because he was constant. I mean, there's two ways to defend it. You can either jockey and wait for the winger to make a mistake, or you can try and get a tackle in and stop him that way.
Well, I liked what Lewis Hall did when he came on, Billy. You pointed this out yesterday. Lewis Hall stayed quite high, didn't he? And it stopped really Sven-Göran getting the ball and being able to run at him.
Well, with the amount of time we saw Kelly back off, Danny Simpson-esque, and allowing Sven-Göran into really dangerous positions on the pitch, into our penalty area, even into the 6-yard box on one occasion. Yeah, I'm not sure that left back's kind of where he should be. I'm all for playing him at centre half, but not left back. Yeah, not regularly. And now and again, maybe, but certainly against that wing yesterday, didn't do him any favours. I'll give him a 5.
Okay, Alex.
Billy's reading from my scripts. Yeah, 5 in the middle. I don't think he was overly good on the ball. Passing wasn't great. Awareness wasn't great. Showing for the ball and positioning wasn't amazing either from the whole team. I don't think that did Lloyd any favours. It is his first start. It'll be better than that. But yeah, I didn't like the instance that Billy just said as well. I hated it. Was that chance where they nearly scored at the back post. I think it was Sven-Göran. It was just running at him, and Kelly was just backing off and backing off and backing off and backing off. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It's not how you're supposed to defend. You've got to stand them up. I appreciate you don't want to commit first, and it's horrible, but you can't back off that much. You just can't. You've got to do something. So yeah, 5.
Can anyone remember Danny Simpson doing against Aaron Lennon? He started. He got him on the halfway line, and in the end, Aaron Lennon scored. Ran the whole length of the pitch virtually.
Yep. Okay, let's move to centre backs. Dan Burn, Alex.
Didn't have too much of an issue with Dan Burn's game, to be fair.
He made a magnificent tackle in the second half, by the way, which saved the goal.
Yeah, he was fine. And I feel like because I've criticised the others for not being able to build out, I have to criticise Dan Burn. But we've known for a very long time that that's not his game. We know he's not as good at doing that as like your Sven Botman, which is why we bought Sven Botman, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he did put a lot into the game. 2 clearances, 2 block shots, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles. He won quite a lot in the air, lost a few in the air that I wasn't super happy about. I think is it fair for us to assume as a fan base that he should be winning most headers? I feel like it is.
Well, when you're 9'4", yeah, I would agree.
Well, yeah, glancing header that nearly got us a goal as well was fantastic. I think we needed his kind of energy. I think he scares players when players aren't playing well. When you look at Dan Bird's face, you're like, oh, God, sorry, we'll crack on. I'll give him a 7.5. I thought he was good from Dan, but I still think he deserves a little bit of the same stick that we're giving to everyone else. We need people to be able to get some good passes out, and but we'll get to the midfield. He weren't showing for them, but still.
Yeah, Billy.
For someone that's 6'6", 6'7", I think he's pretty crap in the air, to be honest. I think sometimes he jumps 5'3", and letting ball bounce in areas.
Very rarely wins anything from a corner.
No, and when he does win headers, he's not very good at heading the ball in the right direction either.
Yeah.
But he's fantastic at last gasp tackles and gets stuck in where it needs to happen. So I'm going to give him a 6.5.
Okay. I have gone with a 6.5 as well. So for many different. The same sort of. I think his heading's. He's not the greatest header of the ball for someone so big.
I
But
thought
listen,
the timing for the glancing header, the shot was really good. It was a shame that Neto got that.
Yeah, but you know, he was. Let's face it, he was beaten convincingly for Bournemouth's disallowed goal as well. Let's not forget that. Hatrick, thank you for your super chat. Madueke move to us must be off now, surely. Yeah, forget that one. Absolutely forget that one. Not a chance that's happening. Okay, Billy Emil Kraft.
Dependable. Limited at centre back, as we all know he is. He has to play there because we have nobody else to do that. But he put a shift in. His passing is probably out of the four that were playing yesterday, probably the best pass of the ball in that back four, I'm going to say, that started. I wouldn't say he made too many mistakes, and I don't think he made too many good things. So I'll give him a 6.
Okay. I'm going for a 5. I think a lot of the time he was getting the ball in the first half, just booting it up the field. He wasn't looking. Some of his passes out from the back were terrible. To the midfielders, not looking and just giving it to any midfielder he saw. Didn't realize how many Bournemouth players were there. But again, it's not his position, and he is steady away, and he does his best, and he does a job. But a 5 from me, Alex.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit more than a 5. I'll go with a 6, but I can only judge him on what he did, which was fine, safe passing. Ish. I mean, 80% passing for a centre half. We would maybe like a little bit more than that. 2 accurate long balls is. I mean, it's okay.
2 more than the rest of the back four.
Yeah. And again, moderate in the duel, but it's just there were too many players that fit that profile across the back forward. You can't have 4 of them. You can have 1, possibly 2, but you can't have all 4 with the same kind of. Can't find the pass, a bit shaky under pressure. You can't have that. Because Dan Burn's the same. If he gets pressed a bit too hard, turns around, goes to Pope, or tries to play it down the line, one or the other. So yeah, I feel a bit harsh but it's what I said earlier. If he goes to a team further down the league, I mean, who's going to be fighting relegation this year? Maybe avoid the drop, possibly like your Evertons. Tarkovsky's plays for them. Is Gemmelkraft better than Tarkovsky? Absolutely no, he's not. You've got just go and pick any centre halves from Brentford, Everton, those kind of clubs. I feel. By the way,
a lot of people are making a good point in the chat saying Kraft could have done better for the first goal as well.
That is true.
Yeah, I think we noticed that yesterday in commentary as well. The two of them.
But let's be fair to him. He's a right back who is the 3rd choice right-sided centre half behind Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles. So, is it a bit harsh that we're trying to? We can't expect that much from him. From what he is in the squad, he was okay, I guess.
Yeah. Right, let's move on to midfield. Sean Longstaff, Alex.
Ooh. Right, we'll do the positives. We'll do the positives first. We'll be nice.
That's it.
91% passing accuracy. It was a lot sideways and backwards, but 91% passing accuracy. A couple of nice little appearances in that right-sided half space that he always seems to find that little pocket. But my biggest problem, again, I'm gonna give him a 4. Not moving to show for the ball ever. There were so many times when whether it was Livramento, Kraft, or just anybody trying to get the ball out, nobody was showing for the ball. And a lot of both Joelinton and Sean were a bit guilty of this, of just firing the ball at Bruno when he wasn't in the right situation to receive the ball. We need what Sean does is okay, but again, it's okay. And in that kind of game, against Southampton, we needed somebody to dig in. And Sean's good at doing that. He can dig in. He's a squad player. He's useful in certain scenarios. When we needed to up our technical level against that Bournemouth team, Sean falls short of that. And I think it was very clear to see. So, and that's I'll give him a 4.
Okay.
We need more, so we can't wait for Tonali to come back. But I still like Sean. He has a place, not in those kinds of games.
Billy?
He wants too much time on the ball, doesn't he? And when he doesn't get that time, he'll either lose it or play a panic pass. So the next player loses it. Yeah. And that happened quite a lot yesterday. And as Stato says, his stats look pretty good, but when you think about where he passed the ball, a lot of it was to players behind him and players under pressure as well. So, yeah, I like Sean in the squad as a workhorse, but yesterday we didn't see that. I'll give him a 4 also.
Okay, interesting 4 as well. I've gone with 3.5. I just, you know what, games like that where we need. I mean, not necessarily his fault, but I think as soon as he came off and Willock came on, it gave us a completely different dimension, different player. You saw the quality that Willock can offer than what Sean can't do. So 3.5 for me.
Especially when we're getting pressed in, he wants just too much time on the ball. If
he does, he hangs on to it. And you could say Bruno does the same, but Bruno's far more skillful to get out of trouble 9 out of 10 times than what Sean Longstaff is. Let's move on to Bruno, Billy.
Yeah, on his own in the first half, it was like last season all over again, wasn't it? Playing against the Bournemouth midfield and attacker on his own. He did lose the ball on a couple of occasions, but you can't really blame him for that because he was kind of swamped and suffocated. Second half, I thought he came into his own. I thought he was fantastic second half, especially after the subs came on and he got a little bit of help in there.
Well, he pushed forward, didn't he? He took,
he looked a much better
by the
player.
scruff of the neck for me.
Better player.
Yeah,
I was suggesting at half time to bring Lewis Hall on in the 6 and push Bruno up further, so we had more creativity in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
Second half, I thought it was great, so I'll give him a 7.5.
7.5 for Bruno. I've gone with a 7. Again, you know, just listen, it wasn't his fault in the first half. He was trying to do a lot. I don't think he was particularly good first half, but again, like you said, Billy, it was back to last season where he was really trying to do everything, and he realized that, you know, Joelinton was having a poor game. Longstaff couldn't hold on to the ball, and he thought, right, I've got to go. I've get the ball and do something myself. And sometimes it didn't work out. Second half was so much better when he pushed forward. So a 7 from me. Alex?
I'm going to go with an 8.
I thought you might.
Purely based on the fact that he had to do a lot of that without a lot of help. He definitely raised his level. I don't think the referee helped him out at all. So he was fouled 6 times in that game. I counted 8 or 9. I think he was a little bit unlucky not to get the whistle blown a couple of times. 11 out of 13 ground duels was fantastic. He won most of what he was needed to win. 4 tackles, 6 out of 9 long balls as well, which is great. He only missed 3 of them, trying to get us away, get us up the pitch. 100 touches of the ball. He was the guy, and they were all over him, and I still think he did okay. He covered a lot of ground. He was important to us defensively, offensively. He was very unlucky not to get a left-footed absolute peach of a curler that Neto pulled off a fantastic save that was destined for the top of the bin.
It was a postage stamp.
The best.
The best.
Yeah, I'll go for an 8. I think he was fine.
Yeah. I think I've upset Abs, you know, guys. Paul always underscores Bruno. Okay. I don't, but thank you. If you look back at the player ratings, you'll see I don't. I love Bruno. Right, Joelinton. I'm sorry, but he was terrible yesterday. Look, everybody knows that he's my favorite player, and you know, he just wasn't at it yesterday. I don't know what the problem was with Joe. He couldn't hang on to the ball. He lost possession for the goal, which knocks a lot of score off as well. I hate to do this. He's got a 2 from me, and I haven't given Joe a 2 since he used to be a striker for us. But there you go, Billy.
Well, that was just for I don't know, first hour. It was as bad as Sean Longstaff against Arsenal. I have to say, I thought it was absolutely dreadful. Once the change was made, I thought it was much better, much better. I'll give him a 3. Okay,
Alex.
I think he was the worst out of our players. So I think the lowest I've given someone else is a 4. So I'll drop it to a 3.5. To Joelinton. I agree with Billy. I think he did better in the final sort of 20, 25 minutes when things changed up. He could have nicked himself a goal with that header, which would have changed the narrative entirely. But an error leading to a goal, nearly got himself sent off. It was subjective, isn't it? You've seen refs. Other refs might have sent him off for that. So we just can't score him highly. Go with the 3.5. I'm sure it'll be fine.
And by the way, I think all three of us absolutely hate having to give Joelinton a low score because we bloody love him. So yeah, listen, it's again, I'll reiterate, it's based on yesterday's game. It's not, anything. It's just one game, and I'm sure that one game is out of Big Joe's system now, and he'll be back to his monstrous best because he was an absolute beast last week.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, we all gave him 10s last week because that's how good he was. But it's I understand he was better in the latter part of the game, but Jesus Christ,
that's what's
been
giving
any
him
worse.
2.5 from me. I think if he was missing that bit, it would have been even lower. It'd have been down as a 1 or a 2. But the fact he got into the game in the last 25 minutes and nearly scored gives him at least some kind of mark.
Right, Jacob Murphy, Alex.
Again, a lot of people screaming that, right wing, big issue. I don't think Jacob Murphy's the reason why we struggled in that game, but he wasn't. He wasn't great.
No.
He's not the reason why the defense couldn't play out, but at the same time, he himself did not have a good game at all. It was one of those games. I don't think he made even a long ball when he was trying to set other players on the break. And I've lost me stats. That doesn't help, does it? He made one. He made one long ball. He only won one duel all game, one key pass. There's just not a lot of data for him. It's almost as if he didn't play that much, but he was on one of the first hooks in the 58th minute.
A lot, though, doesn't it? Really.
I had a little brief conversation about this on Twitter earlier, about how Murphy goes through phases, and especially in the last couple of years for us, where he's fantastic as a sub, and he has these great appearances, and everyone's like, Murphy's got to start, and then he starts, and then we have a couple of appearances where he just goes missing. And I feel like we've had that because I don't think he was massively good against Southampton. I think he made one good driving run. Fair enough, he wasn't on very long.
He made one good driving run through the middle of the park yesterday where he held off a couple of tackles.
But again, very, very anonymous. I can see him maybe dropping out the side if we make this kind of Barnes to Gordon switch. Possibly, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But I could see we're just going through in cycles where Murphy needs to start and then he starts not quite good enough, and I need to give him a number, don't I? Sorry, waffling. I'll go with a 5 because I don't think he was bad as the people I've scored 4s and under, but it wasn't great from Jacob.
I've given him a 3. I thought it was terrible, quite honestly. And I like Jacob, and I think some of the crosses he tried to put in yesterday were rank. Just one of them games where it just didn't fire for a lot of the guys. Don't know what the problem was, but maybe what happened yesterday, like you've just said, Alex, with Gordon on the right, maybe that changes things up for the next game. But we will see. Billy Murphy.
Well, he started the game well, which is usually a sign that he's going to play the game well, but he faded really, really quickly, as we did in the first half. Pretty poor, pretty average, pretty nondescript. I'll give him a 4.
Okay. Council Estate Kid makes a good point. You have to understand he was struggling because he was having to pick the ball up too deep because the centre halves cannot pass for shit. A lot of them were having to come deep. I can't disagree with that.
It was either a chase a lost cause in a channel or come really short for it. Yeah, it's very fair.
Yeah. Okay, Anthony Gordon, Billy.
Another one that was anonymous until the subs came. Probably not as bad as Joelinton, but still nondescript. But once the changes came, he looked a different player. Taking players on the outside. He had that left back on toast, I thought, when he had the ball with his pace. And then he scored. But so before he scored, before the subs, you're looking at a 2 or a 3, but then he scored. I'm going to end up with giving him a 6.
Okay. And you got to remember, I just noticed some stats today about Anthony Gordon. And looking at his Everton stats, he played a lot for Everton on the right. A lot. So, maybe we give it a go. But we'll come on to stuff like that shortly. Alex?
Tough one to mark because I think he was poor in the first hour, but I think again, as we've just mentioned, a lot of it was service. There were a lot of just punts up to both Gordon and Isak, and then go on, then lads, see if you can get it. And they have to sprint, they have to win the duel against the first defender, and then there's loads of. It's tricky. So that was all we were asking them to do, really. So it's hard to mark them down too much. and he got his goal. I don't think it was great. I think Isak and Gordon were visibly frustrated that they were just having to try and chase down scraps and make things happen on their own. I think they wanted to try and get a bit more from it. Or get more help from the team. They were just having to make things happen on their own with 1 or 2 runs or passes. So I'll go with a 7. He got his goal. Yeah, it was fine. I think we need to play a bit more actual football though and get these two involved.
I've gone with a 6 for the same reasons as Billy said. I think he did. The subs were made. He got going a bit more on the right hand side, which I was happy to see. He got his goal. I just think there's something. I'm worried he's not in the right headspace at the minute, which is why I want the transfer window to close. And then, he now focuses on what's ahead of him.
One thing I was a bit concerned with, Paul, was when we kind of went 2 up front and Anthony Gordon wasn't out wide and therefore wasn't helping Lloyd Kelly when it was patently obvious he needed help.
Yeah. I don't like the 2 up front. For me, it doesn't work at all.
I think that's a Howe thing, though. I think he got a lot wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Niall makes a good point as well. On the Amazon documentary, it was stated Gordon was bought for right wing. If you look back, it was. Maybe lessons have been learned. We'll see. Right, finally for the first starting 11. Anyway, Alexander Isak, Alex.
I wasn't too displeased. Again, it's the same kind of thing I said about Anthony Gordon. People were just booting the ball into channels and expecting him to, the run he made against Everton that everybody loves, the assist. I feel like people were just expecting him to do that every time. We need to give him a bit more help. You can't just punt the ball up and go on, superstar, to beat everyone. I just don't think that's fair. I'll give him a 6. I don't think he got anywhere near as much help as he needed. Maybe that he had one decent shot that he should have done better with. I think he snatched at it a little bit. But yeah, not the right game for Isak.
I think he looked really up for it in the first.
He did. A lot of
first
pressing,
20 minutes. He looked really up for it. But I think as the game sort of wore on, he got more and more frustrated because they were punting the ball anywhere, and he what do you expect him to do? He's not that kind of player. Plus the fact that just kicking it anywhere, Isak's just running around chasing the ball all the time. He's getting.
He came deep a little bit and tried to build out with the team, and he actually did quite a good job of that. It wasn't bad, but we just didn't play the right football for Alexander Isak. It's not fair on him to just go and make magic happen. You just can't play it that way.
Well, I've given him a 6.5, Billy.
When the ball was at his feet, I thought he looked outstanding. He was beating the players. He was taking players on, beating them, creating havoc. But as you've both stated, punching the ball up the pitch in the air against 2 big centre halves isn't going to make Alexander Isak look a good player. When the ball was at his feet, I thought he looked a real threat, and I thought he was looking forward. He was up for it. Managed to last the whole game again, which is something that didn't happen last season. I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. CJ Jones has just reminded me of something as well. The none pass from Longstaff. I remember that. Isak made a run to the right inside the box, and Longstaff just didn't play him in. And Isak was furious because it was a brilliant run. It was the right ball, and Sean just can't see that pass. So,
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the substitutes. First one's on, I believe, with Trippier and Barnes, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with Trippier, Billy.
I thought it was outstanding when he came on. It was just what we needed, a bit of leadership, a bit of calm. And despite not having the pace of Livramento, he got himself up the pitch quickly and created lots and lots of havoc in the opposing side as well. So just what we needed. For all his problems that he may or may not have, he came on the pitch as a proper professional and did really good. I'll give Trippier an 8.
Alex? I'm
going to go with an 8 as well. I think he was fantastic. He came on and he was a leader. I've not mentioned this to you guys yet. I've had a couple of chats with Billy about this, but I was visibly, as Tom was when I watched it on Sunday with him, I was concerned at the camera shot of him with his head in his hands.
Yeah.
Because after
weird.
Well, I was expecting after 2 or 3 seconds for his face to re-emerge, but he just stayed there, and I was a little bit concerned about his mental health and everything that's going on. But he came on that pitch, and I thought he played angry and he played. It's almost as like whatever's going on is not my business. It's not our business. It's people's personal life. But he got on that pitch and it felt like everything just melted away, and he was able to just concentrate on what he's done his entire life, which is play football. He played well. He played angry. He understood the job. He understood the task. He got everybody involved. He was shouting. He was pointing. He got 8 crosses into the box, and he was integral. And I think we absolutely need him this season. We cannot sell Kieran Trippier. He was brilliant.
Yep, agreed. I've got an 8 as well for exactly the same reason. I thought he was superb when he came on. Stabilised things for me. Very much stabilised that right-hand side and linked up with Gordon very well. I think the two of them really got the right-hand side going. Okay.
It's the best place for him at the precise moment in time. It's sanctuary for him. He hasn't got time to think about anything that's going on in the background.
And by the way, did you notice Bruno pushed him over to the Newcastle fans at the end? Once all the players had gone off, Trippier was pushed over by Bruno to go over on his own and get the ovation for the crowd. That was absolutely lovely to see. Really great.
Any little trolls around who give him a hard time, he needs to know that the majority of the fan base are massively on his side. He was that first signing through the door, the big signing that gave us the time of day and was willing to take a chance on our project when we were basically relegated.
Look, at the end of the day, Alex,
good throughout,
we are in no position as Newcastle United fans to judge Kieran Trippier on his private life.
Absolutely.
We're in no position to do that. Therefore, we simply look at Trippier on a footballing basis, not what's going on in his personal life. It's none of our fucking business, right? What goes on in a man's private life. The papers, the media, etc., will make a whole rigmarole of it, as they have done. Quite frankly, it's nothing to do with Newcastle fans, his private life. He's a Newcastle United footballer, and when he pulls that black and white shirt on, we should all be absolutely 100% behind him. And that was proved yesterday when he got the ovation from the crowd. Whatever's going on in his personal life is his personal life. That's why it's called a personal life. Nothing to do with Newcastle fans. And anybody that's giving him crap on social media, shame on you, right? Shame on you. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Leave it. Let it go. Concentrate on his football, because he's a Newcastle United footballer and you concentrate on his football. So leave his personal life out of it.
And one thing as well I want to say from a footballing point of view,
the
fact that when he came on, we stopped that pathetic, awful short corner routine that didn't work once and actually got the ball in the mixer.
Oh, hang on, you've reminded me, Billy. You've reminded me. I know we should probably leave this until we rate the manager. I have a massive bone to pick with whatever the hell Jason Tindall's set pieces were in that match. What was any of that? All of it.
It was abysmal.
Has he picked up the wrong book by accident when he left home? What were we doing there? Is it the fact that it's just different people trying the set pieces, or are they just really bad set pieces? But some of the short corners ended up going back to Kraft and then back to Pope. They were awful. They were so bad.
We've sent 6'7" men forward for headers, and the ball ended up with the keeper. Absolutely pathetic.
Right, Harvey of the Barnes. I am delighted to give him a 10. I thought Harvey Barnes was magnificent when he came on yesterday. He just made a massive difference to that left-hand side. He was bloody awesome. The goal itself, the creation for the goal was fabulous. And that's the Harvey Barnes that I want to see. I want to see Harvey Barnes get a run of games in the team. Eddie Howe just turned around and said, right, Harvey, we're going to give you the next 5-6 games. Go and prove yourself and do what you're doing there. And that is the real Harvey Barnes. He was trying to create something. Every time he got the ball, he was giving the Bournemouth players absolute hell. And I thought he was superb. So I'm giving him a 10. I thought he changed the game for us. Billy?
I'm not going to be as generous as that, but he was fantastic.
Fine. Yeah,
and he was doing everything that we asked him to do. He made a difference. He had the appetite, the hunger, and everything he did was fantastic. But I mean, he did miss a shot. But let's not forget he had a good chance on his left foot, which he hit with his left foot. I was pleased he did do that.
Yeah.
But I'll give him a 9.
Okay, Alex.
I'm going to give him a 9 as well. And I'm going to give a big fat apology to Harvey Lewis Barnes. We've middle named him. We wanted to see him actually turn up in a game. I've been hammering him about we need him to turn up with his quality in tough games. He did it. He absolutely did it. More of it, please, Harvey. It was fantastic. The experience shone through. 10 out of 10 passes. He did not miss a single pass. He got an assist in the game. He was so careful with the ball. He controlled it and kept the ball when necessary. He was patient in build-up. Fine, it did help that he'd got maybe Lewis Hall next to him as well, who came on, but it was what we need. It was what we needed at that point, and he was great. It cannot be understated how important Harvey Barnes was.
Look, people are questioning me giving him a 10. It's my opinion, and it's my personal opinion that he came on and changed the game for us, because he was the first player that came on that pitch and actually got the ball and ran at the defenders and always tried to create something when he got that ball. And that's
it's not even about the data, though. It's not even about the statistics.
It's
about him.
Was brilliant as well.
Exactly. It's him understanding the game state. It's him understanding that we needed to keep a little bit more of the ball. We needed a tiny bit more of a patient build-up. If you're not sure if you can commit the defender, wait till you've got support. All the decisions were pretty much spot on. It was an experienced performance. It's not, the data doesn't show all of it. You've got to read more into it.
I mean, that cross he put in for the goal, the work he did before that, the defender was on his arse. He's still looking for Harvey Barnes now. The pinpoint cross and a really simple tap in for Anthony Gordon. He couldn't miss that. It was so precise, and then and what he did was he stayed in the game, Billy. And we've criticised him before for doing a couple of things and then disappearing. He didn't. He was always in there yesterday when he came on, and that's what I was delighted to see.
Not just from an attacking point of view as well. He came back and helped the defence. I thought it was phenomenal.
This is what we needed, though. There were a couple of articles about Harvey Barnes was possibly frustrated at not getting starts, and he thinks he deserves them. Now he does. Yeah, now he's got the claim. Now he can walk in and go, I think I should be on that starting pitch. I think that's fair now. After that,
and I think we'd all agree with that. I think we'd all agree with it.
Yeah.
After that performance yesterday, he was outstanding.
Yeah. Now we're not rating Miggy today because he was literally on the pitch for a few minutes and I don't think he even touched the ball. So we're not. But next one,
his best game of the season, though.
He didn't misplace any passes.
David says, I can't give Barnes a 10. If Isak scores a hat-trick, he'd get a 10 too. Hardly comparable. It's not about just,
context of the game.
Yeah, it's what the state of the game when he came on. But, listen, player ratings is all opinions, isn't it? Okay, let's move to Joe Willock, Billy.
Yeah, really positive. And they tried to kick him as well. He had one on his Achilles straight away, virtually.
Straight away,
We were all worried about it. He got up, carried on. Pace, what we needed, pace down the left-hand side, actually helped Harvey Barnes do what he was doing as well.
Yeah.
With Lewis Hall, Willock, and Barnes on the left-hand side, we looked a real threat down there. Willock looks getting close back to his best now. All he needs is the minutes in his legs, and he'll be ready to go. Yeah. And I think actually that the right wing isn't so much of a problem to us now, because if we put Gordon out there and use Willock as a reserve to Barnes or Joelinton maybe playing on the left-hand side as well, the right wing doesn't seem that as important to me now. If Joe Willock can get his fitness back and stay fit, so I'll give Willock an 8.
Okay. I've gone for an 8 as well. I thought he played really well when he came on. He linked up well with Harvey Barnes. Those two can create. There's no doubt about it. But he did look fit yesterday. I was worried, as you say, he took that knock on the Achilles and he did, he was feeling it a little bit, but he got up and then he just looked super fit yesterday. So long may that continue. Alex?
I'll give him a 7, but I think it's the same credit that you guys have given him. It's no surprise that the season we finished 4th was the season that Joe Willock was an integral part of that first team. He provides you with so much with the afterburners, with the energy, the driving runs, the fact that he's quite versatile on that left-hand side and he just runs for days. And he was really, really good, careful with the ball as well. That left-hand side, I mentioned Harvey Barnes was 10 out of 10 passes. Joe Willock was 5 out of 5 passes. They understood the game state. There were people that have been with the squad who understand how to play and understood what was needed in that match. The driving runs were fantastic as well. I can't wait to see Willock. I'm surprised. I don't know how he gets back into this starting 11, but I think he kind of needs to. I don't know. You've got to drop someone to get him in, but if we can get Joe Willock back to how devastating he was when he was fit, we've got to get him in somehow, surely.
And finally, Lewis Hall. Alex?
Well, just what we were missing. Just technician. 1 out of 1 accurate crosses, 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, created a big chance. was integral for letting Harvey Barnes do Harvey Barnes things because he was just stood off him, allowing short little passes, body shape, speed, calm under pressure, keeping everything flowing. I think it was potentially a mistake not to start him. And I know Chris from Evermore said to me that it should have been Lewis Hall and not Lloyd Kelly, and I probably disagreed. Chris, you're probably right. I think it was the right pick. But before the kickoff, I thought Lloyd Kelly made sense. But I think I was wrong for different reasons than we were arguing about. I think it was more we lacked that technician. It wasn't just left back for left back. We just missed Lewis Hall's creativity and just his pure technical ability. He's such a good technician. I would go as far as saying Lewis Hall is only second in our squad to Bruno for how technical he is. I think his natural ability with the ball is fantastic.
Tonali.
Oh, okay, Tonali. Yeah, fair enough. We haven't seen him for so long. I've forgotten him.
Who? He's signed, by the way. Tonali is.
I don't even think I gave Lewis Hall a bloody rating either, did I? I'll go with the 7.5.
Okay. Billy?
Yeah, I thought it was a massive mistake not playing him for the reasons I gave earlier. I think he pushes up the pitch and makes the wingers defend. And I think that was the way Eddie should have gone. I thought it was negative to pick Kelly ahead of Hall. Hall doesn't deserve to be dropped as much as it wasn't a drop, and it was a tactical change. But I just think Lewis Hall's just a far better left back than Lloyd Kelly will ever be.
Yeah.
I'll give him an 8.
Okay. People telling me that maybe Isak's better technically. It's very hard to judge because of how different they are.
Yeah.
Obviously Isak with the tricks and the pace and change of direction, but I think Lewis Hall's a very different kind of player with the passing and the little bit different. Kind of hard to judge that, I guess.
Okay, I've gone for 7.5 as well. The reasons you guys get, I think he was superb when he came on. I do think it was a mistake not starting him. I didn't understand how he played the whole pre-season at left back, started the main season left back, and then against Bournemouth suddenly taken out. I don't agree with Eddie's reasoning. I think, the height, Bournemouth had no height there. It wasn't for the height. They didn't have tall players.
I think it was more about kind of pace and positioning experience and that athletic matchup. I think that was more the reasoning.
But I think Hall was the right decision for that reason, Alex, because I think he's quicker. And I think he could have done a better job with Semenya. But possibly. Listen,
we've got hindsight.
We'll never know. But... Yeah, absolutely. Okay, finally, the manager, Eddie Howe. Billy.
Team selection was wrong for me, as we've just stated about Lewis Hall not playing. But his changes came early enough to make a difference in the game. The set pieces thing, Christ alone knows what that was about. I'll give him a 7 for rectifying his early mistake.
Okay. I'm going for a 6. Listen, the substitutions, yes, but I think they were staring him in the face to make them changes. I think he will probably, or hopefully, last night think, I got that wrong, and make sure that he's more careful of his team selection in the future. Peter Garthwaite, thank you for your super chats. Do you think the transfers are held up because of Eddie's refusal to let players go? It's another side of the coin, I guess.
Well, I hope he refused to let Kieran Trippier go after that performance yesterday.
Agreed.
Well, he doesn't want to lose Trippier, definitely. He's made a statement of that. Alex, Eddie Howe?
I agree with you, Paul. I'm going to go with a 6. I know that Billy gave him a 7, but it is for the same reasons. I liked that he tried to fix it and he identified how to fix it, but I think he needs to get... There was a lot of that at the back end of last year as well. We need to get the team selection and the tactics right first. He seems to be a very good reactive manager in terms of moving shapes and fixing problems and solving problems. But I'd like us to go out and just have the right setup at the start of the match, because that's what you get all the time to prep for. I feel like he needs to win that mind game against other managers and setups and teams from minute one. And I don't think he does it enough at the moment. And I don't think it was an overly complicated thing to change. I think you give the team 10 minutes after the half, after whatever you've said, then you bring on some more technicians and experience, Barnes, Trippier. You refresh the midfield with Willock. It's all quite, if I don't want to be really mean, but I think a lot of us would it picks itself. If it's not working, those are the things that you shift. So he gets the credit for shifting it, but I would really like to see us get it right from the get-go. We should.
It's imperative he does that, because last season we saw what happened when we didn't have the players to make changes with.
Absolutely, and I hope he's learned his lesson in terms of personnel and the balance of the team, because he himself has used this phrase, the balance of the team. We've got to get the balance of the team right. There wasn't enough balance in that. There weren't enough people able to play the ball under pressure and be technically good with it. So hopefully that is rectified. Again, I think it automatically solves itself as soon as Fabian Schär comes back and Tonali is then not banned. However, we don't want it to just automatically fix itself. I want Howe to just know that, which I'm sure he does. He's much cleverer than all of us. So,
yeah. Well, there you go. That is the show done and dusted. Always a little bit extra on match review as we go through the player ratings, etc. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We are back tomorrow, of course. It is the Nottingham Forest preview tomorrow night at 7:00. And any latest news, of course, we will have the press conference reaction. I'm sure Eddie's got one tomorrow morning ahead of the game, so we will bring you that. Not sure on the time yet, so just keep your notifications on, and we will obviously let you know what time that will start. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you for your super chats, memberships, etc. Mods, thank you, and of course, thank you to Billy and Alex. And a massive thank you to you guys out there for staying with us for the length of the show. Really do appreciate it. Please do give it the thumbs up before you leave if you haven't done so already. And of course, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button. Free to do so. We're getting to 32 shortly and then onwards as we aim to go to 40. But thank you very much for watching, guys. We will see you tomorrow night and probably tomorrow morning, depending on the times. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening, folks. It's good night from us.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.